Today, I'm going to be reviewing the movie 300. So I've never seen this movie before, actually, and that's quite surprising because it's apparently a very, very famous movie, and I never seen it before, so I did not know what this movie was going to be about. I didn't know like the style or the feel of it, but when I watched it, so I have my face painted like a grape because, you know, Grease. So I have my notebook here with me. This is where I take notes about random things that I want to or need to remember. So if you see me looking down, then it's because I'm reading my notes and I need to keep track of what I'm talking about because I am a rambler and I will ramble on and on and on and on. Okay, so the movie 300 was created in 2006 and was based off of a comic series written by Frank Miller and Lynn Varley. To summarize this movie, it was basically about a war between Greece and Persia. Okay. Main characters are King Leonidas and King Xerxes, okay? And if I'm pronouncing any of these words incorrectly, sue me. Okay, or actually don't sue me because number one, y'all wouldn't be getting anything, and second of all, it's not that deep. All right, so the movie starts off with the narrator narrating the soon-to-be King Leonidas' life, okay? And so basically it starts off with him as a little boy and he's doing combat practice, he's doing training, and they're showing us the Spartan way, right? Tough, there is no weakness, there is no emotion, there is nothing that you are afraid of. And so they show us that, and they show us King Leonidas being taken away from his mother when he is 12 years old. I'm going to give this movie a +5 for its historical accuracy because Spartans, when they are training, right, the kids, they are actually 12 years old when they are taken away from their mothers. And you say trauma. He returns back home and they crown him king. This is how King Leonidas gains the throne. So after this happens, the movie cuts back to when he's an adult and he himself is sparring with his own kid and instilling those same Spartan values in his son. This is where the first black character of the like 3.5 in the whole movie.
Madman. You're a madman.
Air and water.
First black character is introduced into the movie, and the character is a messenger. And the message basically is from King Xerxes, and it's saying, hey, if you want your land, your people, your water, your resources to be protected, what you're going to need to do is you're going to bow to me, going to profess me as a god, right? And not a king, a god. All right, so we already see here that Xerxes' intentions are to be the god of, honestly, all surrounding lands and nations. But he is a king imperialist, right? So the king is like, and then he tells the messenger basically to die. Pulls out his sword and he pushes him into the well, or actually he kicks him into the well, and this is where the iconic "This is Sparta"
This is Sparta!
scene comes from. So already the character count of black characters is 1 and the kill count of said black characters is 1. So the net value of black characters in this movie so far is 0, and I am not liking that. So continuing on, the king takes a little trip to these like creatures dungeon, whatever, called the E4, like castle, which is where they were keeping the oracle. All right, first of all, the oracle is like, number one, an underage like girl, problematic, who is extremely drugged up in a castle. All right, that is the Oracle. There's nothing mystical about her. It's just like she's extremely drugged up in this place. So did not really like that aspect of the movie, so I'm taking away 2 points for that, and I'm taking away 10 points for killing that black character off. The king gets his message, and the Oracle is like, y'all are going to die, oh, don't even try it. And so King Leonidas is like, I'm not feeling that prediction. Bump this, right? He's like, bump this. Like, I'm deuces. So he leaves and calls them pompous inbred swine, right? And my thing is like, okay, they're pompous inbred swine, and you said this from the beginning, yet you still made this journey to ask for their help and see what they're gonna say. So I mean, like, come on, King Leonidas. It's kind of giving hypocrisy here. Next thing is King Leonidas comes back and he's like, not feeling what the Oracle says. She says not to go to war, but of course we're gonna go to war because, baby, this is Sparta.
This is Sparta!
And we are going to gather the strongest 300 men that we know, that we have, and we are gonna let that thing sing, right? We're going to go and we're going to engage in combat. So they're preparing all the men, they're preparing all of them to go. So the king is saying his goodbyes to the queen, and then there's this cutaway of this narration that's being like, even though he's leaving and he's leaving his love behind, he dare not say those words. He dare not tell her that he loves her. What? You are going away. Hello, this is my co-star. All right, you are going away to battle an army that the Oracle that you guys rely on so heavily already told you that you are going to lose, and it is going to be carnage, right? So you're still going. You can't even tell your wife that you love her. And it's giving emotional suppression. It's giving therapy. They're leaving. They're about to go to war. It flashes to this tree scene where it's quite gory. It's like these mangled bodies are encompassing the tree. Like it's like woven into the very fabric of what the tree is. And I'm going to give this scene a +2 on my gore counter, because personally, I like gore. I'm a horror movie fanatic, so it was working for me. It was working for me. All right, so then they enter this place that they're about to go to battle, and it's called the Hot Gates. It's really giving like Sharon and the River of Styx. Okay, it's giving very much Dante's Inferno. It's giving very much Entrance of Hell, and I think that was the aim, right? I think that is the mental picture that they wanted you to paint in this movie, or at this scene in this movie, because they really hearken on how hellish this environment that they're about to go in is. So yeah, so then they go into the Hot Gates, right? They go into this place that it's pretty much hell. There's waves crashing. There's this scene where all the ships are being eaten up by the sea, and all of the Spartans are incredibly happy because the ships are the ships of their rivalry, right? Like the Persians. So of course they're happy because this is like a small win for them. Once again, it cuts away to King Leonidas. What is he doing standing there brooding? And it's giving therapy, King. It's giving therapy. This is when we meet Iphilates.
I am Ephialtes, born of Sparta.
Once again, butchering the name. So it's this guy, and he's like a hunchback character, right? They have a lot of like prosthetic makeup on him, and he's supposed to be like this ugly like hunchback character, and I'm gonna take away 2 points for that. And I didn't like that. So, but I mean, this movie was given a lot, so it makes sense that it will also be giving ableism. He corners the king and he asks him, he's like, hey, my mother and my father, they were Spartan. Their home was the land that you reigned over, and then my mother had to flee once they had me.
My mother's love led my parents to flee Sparta.
I want to prove that, you know, I'm a Spartan at heart, and I want you to give me a uniform, and I want to fight this battle. And King Leonidas says, look, bruh, it's not giving you a uniform, right? He says, you know what you can do? You can pick up the dead bodies.
You want to help in a Spartan victory?
Yes.
Clear the battlefield of the dead. Tend the wounded. Bring them water. But as for the fight itself, I cannot use you.
Like, that's the best I got for you, though. You know, so I didn't like that. It was really giving elitist. Like, I wasn't enjoying that. But once again, from a historical point of view, to be a Spartan, you did have to meet a lot of requirements. You did have to meet a lot of physical requirements, right? So you had to be a certain height. You had to have a certain build. Your eyesight had to be good. It was given a lot. It was given eugenics. If ladies really wasn't feeling that, as he shouldn't have been.
You are wrong, Leonidas. You are wrong.
He shouldn't have been, right? So you see him, like, he throws his shield and his spear down on the ground, and that is that scene. So the next thing we see is the second black character pull up in the scene, and it was the emissary for King Xerxes, and he comes and he's on this like big Macy's Thanksgiving parade looking float. Also looks very maniacal. So he's on this big thing with this whip, which also I wasn't liking the whip. I'm taking away another -2 points. And this is the second black character, right? So far we have the black characters as messengers for King Xerxes, and then he gets killed, right? He gets his arm slashed off and what is alluded to being killed. And I'm like, okay, second black character once again acts as a messenger, once again gets killed. Okay, we're taking off another 10 points. There is a fight scene, +5 points for the fight scene. Once again, historical accuracy, because it displays one of the Spartans' like most legendary techniques of fighting with phalanx. I don't know how to pronounce it, so I don't know, but basically it's a battle formation where the shields are used for protection, and it is used to harden the and make the formation more secure. It can move backwards and forward in formation, and it is a technique that is quite useful in battle. And so this movie does display that, and that fighting and that technique that the Spartans have made very much their own in the movie, and I did quite like that. So after this fight is over, there is this scene where like thousands of arrows come shooting at them, right? And they have to use their shields for protection against that. And that whole scene is very like dark. I feel like they did a good job of translating on screen just how hellish this environment was, right? Like how hellish war is. Like let's take a note from our friend Kurt Vonnegut. There is nothing intelligent to say about war, and I think that they did really capture that well in this scene. So after this scene is over, I'm sitting here like, first of all, I would be tired. I would be so tired. Like my psyche would never be the same. And I think that is something to be said, and that is something like to be said about why they train the way they train. It takes a lot to be in that environment and then just see it and keep it pushing. It takes a lot of indoctrination. It takes a lot of breaking down, right? Comparable to the military already, so let's keep that in mind just generally for the world's sake. So at this time, after this battle, like it's Xerxes' big entrance, and we see him for the first time, and all I have to say is baby bling bling. Like my man was shining, came out on this big, like once again Macy's float looking thing. So they have like a big ego off, right? And King Leonidas is like, I'm never going to bow to you. I'm never going to profess you as my God. You're weak. Your whole bloodline is weak. The people you have on your team are weak. Your mom's weak. Your dad's weak. Your knees. He like added this little misogynistic like dash in it, where he was basically like, I might as well have called our Greek women to fight, looking at your soldiers, which is so backhanded. This is Sparta. Anyway, so they have that little talk. So they're fighting these people called the Immortals, and the Immortals are wearing this mask, and they're supposed to be like one of the baddest like fighting forces in Asia. They have this big chained like monster or creature or whatever like on their side battling for them, which I think is weird. I think that they were having a lot of fun with the prosthetics in this movie. Numerous other like fight scenes, battle scenes that happens, and within them like Xerxes sends like a rhino. Like this giant rhino to fight, and elephants. And I'm just like, this man has too many resources, okay? It's really giving Elon Musk. And so that happens. And then afterwards, it slows down a little bit right there at the end of their big fighting scene. All of the fighters or the soldiers are called back into right their formation. And one person is left out of the formation because like he's like just finishing like killing a soldier or whatever. It causes him to lag behind. He gets beheaded. Okay, but this character is significant in the fact that his name is Astynos, and he is the like second in command's like son. The general is like distraught, right? He is distraught, and he just like breaks formation and just like starts slashing, right? And that is the real first time you see any emotion, like any real raw emotion invoked from anyone in the movie. And I think it's like, Astynos, what were you doing? Did you not hear him say back into formation? Back into formation doesn't mean like do what you want. It means like get back into formation, dude. You know, so he was being hard-headed, but you know, rest in peace, Astynos. He was a product of his environment. So
one for me and one for my homies.
So next we cut back to scenes, you know, back and forth between the battle and, you know, back home in Greece, where the wife is, and she's going through her own troubles, right? You know, with being like one of the only women around, and being one of the women around that had like a significant amount of power, with the absence of her husband. With that, being surrounded by a lot of egotistical like men who were vying for power in her husband's seat, or you know, what have you, she was facing a lot of abuse, and but she did get her revenge on her abuser. That's what I'm gonna say. So I'm gonna give it a +10 for the revenge of the abuser. So after the scene with the wife, we see that, oh yes, he's back, Ephialtes, right? And if you remember, in the beginning, Ephialtes was our hunchback friend that I was talking about, that I took a couple points away. It's back, and guess where he goes? See Xerxes, okay? And what does Xerxes tell him? He's like, look around. You see all this going on? It could be yours. We're not going to treat you the way that the Spartans treated you, right? I'm a good guy, right? He gave him the I'm a good guy. And as we know about people who say they're good guys, normally not good guys. Okay, so he's like, the only thing you have to do is bow to me.
Embrace me as your king and as your god.
He's like, okay, I'm liking what you're offering, but give me one thing. One thing that, you know, the Greeks did not offer me. I want a uniform. So he was like, bet, basically. He was like, done. And what did he give him in return? He told the location of where the Spartans were hiding. And the Spartans find out that, oh, our location has been given up, so we need to either retreat or do something. And so, as we know, King Leonidas is like, retreat? This is Sparta. He's basically like, I get it. some of y'all are scared. We were made different. Some of y'all were cut from a different cloth, and that cloth is cotton candy. Right, one last favor, brother. He gives him the necklace that his wife gave him at the beginning of the movie, and he's like, take this to my wife. It was her necklace. He's like, take this to my wife and deliver my one final message to, you know, my constituents back. So the people who want to go, they go. The people who want to stay and fight, they stay and fight. And needless to say, everybody died. So when they all came back, the people who decided not to fight, when they came back, Messenger gave the message that King Leonidas sent to her, to everybody actually. So he gave the message, and the message was, remember us, how we fought valiantly and bravely and what we fought for. And you know, at first you might think like, what, remember us, like that's it? Like he didn't say like SOS. But this, of course, this, you know, this story, it got us, right? It worked on their, like, their emotions, right? That pathos. And basically it mobilized 10,000 Spartans and 30,000 free Greeks. They went to fight, and it is pretty much alluded at the end of the movie that they went to go fight and conquer Xerxes and his army and his nation. And then it was a win for Greece. That was the end of the movie. So because of the black characters getting killed all the time, the eugenics, all of that stuff, I'm gonna give this movie a 2 out of 10. And that's just my honest assessment of it. Because besides the fight scenes, right, all of the, like, the constant action and gore, when there wasn't action and gore happening, it went kind of slow. There was a lot of awkward, long eye contact that I personally did not like. To me, it just did a really good job of being like, yeah, like, Spartans were racist. Like, you know, like even in the movie, verbatim around the like 1 hour, 20-minute timestamp is basically telling her like, this is a quote from the movie, right? All men are not created equal. That's the Spartan code, my queen. I mean, what else is there even to say, right? So because of this, I'm giving it a 2 out of 10. I think a lot of people get lost in the action and maybe the gore of it. But once you see through that, I think that this movie is not that great. And I think that I was gagged for 1 hour and 30 minutes of my life.